My Lords, apprenticeships are jobs with training, so it's employers who make recruitment decisions. But we have introduced flexibilities so that adult apprentices no longer need to achieve standalone English and Maths qualifications, while strengthening job-specific English and Maths training. This will allow more adults to access apprenticeships and support thousands more to achieve them, helping meet skills shortages in sectors such as construction and healthcare. Apprentices under 19 must still achieve these qualifications, putting them in the best possible position to progress in life and work.
My Lords, I'm very pleased to hear that answer, but the potential of a very large proportion of 16 to 18-year-olds in the Gypsy, Roma and traveller communities, a larger proportion than for any other minority ethnic group, to enter further education and or to gain the apprenticeship status which could get them employment is still not being realised. In the years 2019 to 2024, their entry to apprenticeships was never more than 170 per year. Does my noble friend the Minister agree that the main reason the significant drop-off in secondary school attendance and attainment for these children needs targeted research into the many causes, encouragement to schools to sign up to the pledge to create a Gypsy, Traveller, Roma-friendly environment, and specific interim action, for instance, to expand the relaxation, of the requirement for Level 2 Maths and English for young people judged to be capable?
My noble friend is a valued advocate for Gypsy, Roma and traveller communities, and her work is important in helping us to understand what more the education system needs to do in order to enable their achievement. We recognise the issues faced by young people in those communities and want them to thrive, whether at school or in work. My Lords, I want more people from underrepresented backgrounds to be able to access apprenticeships. I attended a very useful roundtable with some of our largest employers just this morning to talk about this issue. And we are developing new foundation apprenticeships for those starting their careers. This is an important step also towards our youth guarantee of education, employment or training for every young person.
My Lords,
the government is doing in reducing the levels of numeracy and literacy for apprentices starting. And I think the House should remember that the apprenticeships of the 18th century who created the Industrial Revolution did not set numeracy or literacy tests. And the colleges for which I'm responsible, University Technical Colleges at 18, produce 20% of our students becoming apprentices. Schools only produce 4%. And as a result of these changes, I'm sure that our percentage will increase, which means that many more youngsters will be able to benefit from high-quality apprenticeship training.
Well, the noble Lord goes slightly further back in history than I do, but nevertheless I understand and share his view. We do, of course, expect apprentices to continue to be able to learn the math skills and the English and communication skills necessary for the occupational standards within which they do their apprenticeship, but not to have to study a separate or not to have to pass a separate qualification in English and maths. I should, though, reiterate that, of course, we will still expect young people up to 18 to study and achieve qualifications in English and maths.
My Lords, would the Minister agree? Would the Minister...
The question was most encouraging because she well understands that this generation of young people experienced a great deal of disruption in their education, not just during the pandemic, but since the pandemic. There's been a great deal of absenteeism in school, as she knows. Could the noble lady, the Minister, assure the House that now this generation of young people will not only be encouraged, but we will demonstrate to them how much we value their potential?
The noble Lord is absolutely right that we need to work harder to make sure that all young people, all children are able to succeed in school, and all young people have the opportunities to then go on in education or in training. And in the area of apprenticeships, that's of course one of the reasons for introducing, as we will do later this year, foundation apprenticeships, which will provide that first step onto the employment ladder and the training ladder for young people who perhaps wouldn't otherwise have been able to access it. And we will continue to find ways to ensure that all young people, particularly those from disadvantaged backgrounds or those who have faced other challenges in their life, can fully achieve the opportunities that they deserve and can make the most of in their lives.
Agree that the vast number of people who have special educational needs, and I declare my interests in this field, who actually have problems going through, who can have them solved by using voice activation and readback facilities to access at least English, are allowed to do so as these are so readily available. Without it, you are excluding a lot of people by the mere motion of the exams or qualifications.
I think the Noble Lord is right that we have seen that assistive technology can make a big difference to both children within school and also to young people as they enter into training, which is why, and of course into higher education, which is why in relation to higher education we'll continue to ensure that the disability support allowance provides support for students to be able to fully access that learning. And it's why in apprenticeships, of course, we make specific provision for young people entering apprenticeships who have an education, health or care plan.
Bearing in mind the crucial significance of the maritime sector to our nation's wealth and indeed survival, can I ask my noble friend, the Minister, what are we doing in terms of encouraging more maritime apprenticeships both in the merchant navy and more widely?
My noble friend is right, of course, about that. Perhaps I could write to him with some of the details about the occupational standards that already exist to enable apprenticeships within the maritime industry. And we have, of course, seen a development of these occupational standards supported by employers and others. I agree with him that ensuring this apprenticeship route, whether or not it's into the maritime industry or more broadly, particularly across industrial areas that have been identified in the industrial strategy, is an absolutely crucial way that we can enable growth as well as opportunity for individual young people.
My Lords, the Noble Lady says that the government is very committed to making sure that young people have a good grounding in English and maths. But if that's the case, why has the government cut the number of hours of maths teaching from 4 hours a week to 3 hours a week in colleges?
What we have provided is a continuation of the expectation that young people who haven't achieved level 2 in English and maths continue to have the ability to study that, but with some flex and continued the funding in order to enable that to happen, but provided some flexibility for colleges to deliver that in the way that is most appropriate for them.
My Lords, what can the Noble Lady say about plans for the proposed new growth and skills levy, and how that will, first of all, increase the number of apprenticeships being taken up by younger people, aged 16 to 25, which is disappointingly low, and secondly, how it will promote greater provision of apprenticeships by small and medium enterprises?
The Noble Lord is right to ask us about the growth and skills levy. The current apprenticeship levy and system is, employers tell us, too inflexible and doesn't allow some of the provision that would precisely ensure more young people are able to enter apprenticeships, which is why as the first stage in delivering flexibilities in the growth and skills levy, we will introduce foundation apprenticeships along the lines that I outlined, which I think will encourage far more young people to be able to come into apprenticeships. And in doing that, of course, we'll also support the small and medium-sized enterprises who tend to have younger people as apprentices and who also tend to take more people from disadvantaged backgrounds. And we will also introduce flexibility around the minimum length of an apprenticeship, so that in those areas where it makes sense in terms of being able to teach the whole standard in a shorter period of time, or for those people who already have a considerable amount of prior learning, that minimum will go to 8 months rather than 12 months.
A young person is good at something. Finding that is not always easy. The level in maths and English for entry to FE and apprenticeships is acting as a barrier for Gypsy and Traveller young people. Does the Minister agree that it would be more effective to open up technical and vocational training schemes to these young people without the need for relevant levels in maths and English to enable them to fulfil their full potential?
Well, to be clear, the issue I don't think is that not having maths and English prevents you from starting an apprenticeship. That's up to the employer to determine who they recruit onto the job that will go alongside the apprenticeship. Nor does it stop people from entering into college. What we do expect, however, is that particularly for 16 to 18-year-olds, in order to ensure that they have the best opportunity to progress in life and the basic skills that will enable them to do that, that they then pursue between 16 and 18 the learning and the qualifications necessary to give them those basic skills in English and maths.